I'm burning up, hot flashes got me sweating like a sauna, body feeling different, hold creeping like a drama, clock hits 3 wide.
Hello everyone, and welcome to What the Pause. My name is Emilia Cartsonas. I am your podcast host for today, and today we are joined by Jean. Jean comes to us from British Columbia, Canada, and we're going to be talking about her journey and how she is helping women with their confidence and self-perception in her businesses. So at this time, I'd like to say hello to Jean, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm Jean Leggett. I currently live in Vancouver, and I've had the opportunity to travel around and experience cultures all over the place, and just turned 49 last weekend. So I am, I'm a good way through my perimenopause stage. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your entire menopause journey from where you started feeling symptoms, what age you were, what advice or suggestions doctors had given you or friends, and what are you doing right now?
Fantastic. I am pretty sure that I first experienced it the night that Hillary Clinton lost her election. Because that very same day, my uterus was like, no, thank you. I don't want to participate in this anymore. And it just went haywire. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I kind of joke that the two are correlated. But so that would have put me at about 39 years old, which for, I think a lot of doctors, they think that that's too young to be experiencing the symptoms. Mm-hmm. And so, the fact that I was having problems sleeping at that early age, that I was starting to have hot flashes and becoming a little bit more irritable. I mean, I think our spouses, our partners are likely to just chalk it up to like women being hysterical. But I really do think that that was a big part of like the kickoff for the hormonal changes that I was experiencing.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I would say 2020, that would have put me at 43. Mm-hmm. But I started watching TikToks, and we started to have more of that public conversation, not just around perimenopause, because that didn't actually click for me for a little bit, but ADHD.
Yes.
And that's when I realized I have been living with ADHD my whole life. But I don't know if you've noticed, they're having these really interesting conversations that women with ADHD tend to experience perimenopause symptoms much earlier.
I did not know that, but I do have a lot of people that have been diagnosed later in life, and they're like, oh, there is a correlation between the two. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. So, here I was trying to figure out, I'm an internet rabbit hole person. I like to read up and learn all of these different things. And I've been following a lot of perimenopause accounts. And like our estrogen is very much related to our dopamine. And when our estrogen drops, our dopamine's dropping, and it makes our ADHD go super crazy. So the confluence of those, plus, of course, the pandemic, we sure had a great time going through all of this. And I finally spoke to my doctor, and I said, listen, I know that you think that I'm too young, but I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And you're just going to have to give me the patch. I want the estrogen patch. So I think I've been on the estrogen patch for 3 years now. And at first, that's all she gave me, because I've never been on birth control, not once in my entire life.
Okay. And
she didn't realize that you also needed to make sure you had some form of progesterone, unless you are one of those people that medically does not need it, which is a whole other category.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't irritable, and I could sleep through the night. And I just thought, what is this voodoo?
What's this magic they put on me? My goodness, why didn't I know beforehand?
Right. Mm-hmm. And now I'm seeing, in the last 5 years, more and more public conversations around perimenopause. And my mom she had a total hysterectomy right when she had me at 30. So she never, it was 1977. What are you going to do? Right. Like
yes, exactly.
The way that they treated women back then, and still to this day.
And still, yes. Unfortunately.
So she always said that she never had perimenopause symptoms. She never had hot flashes. And they always called it the change when my
Oh,
grandmother was going through it. And so it's been refreshing. And now I have some girlfriends that are in their late 30s and early 40s. I'm like, listen, here are the telltale signs. Get yourself medicated as soon as you can, because it's
mhm.
not about, there's lots of people that want to do things naturally. Good for them. Good for them. But my estrogen's dropping and I'm a real bleepity bleep. And I would like to not be that way. So better living through medicine.
Yes, and that's the perception of HRT in any form. It just kind of terrifies women, and they want to go through it holistically and naturally. Why? Because, natural supplements aren't going to balance your hormones. It's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all these great things that women need. This is not, oh, I can't take medicine. I can't take it. It'll make me a failure as a woman. Ugh. I've heard so many different excuses, right? Or it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get cancer and all this stuff that our parents and grandparents were listening to, our mothers and grandmothers. And it's just not it anymore. It's kind of telling a diabetic, well, you don't need your insulin. You'll be just fine going through this, right? It's the same thing. This is stuff. These are things that are supported for women, formulated for women, and it's about time that we have these support.
I look forward to future generations of
Mhm.
women who have a lot more medical information at their disposal, because I think unless you're completely out to lunch, you
Uh-huh.
should know by now that the medical establishment has been so focused on men's health all of this time. And so much of the testing goes on for men. And we're only just, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg for perimenopause health. And that's kind of exciting and also disappointing for the women that came before us. But we can only go
Absolutely.
forward.
You can only go forward exactly where it's, we're breaking those barriers, breaking the stigma of discussing and normalizing it in
Yeah.
conversation, in at the workplace. And men need to know exactly what we're going through as well, because if they don't know, we need to explain it to them. And I love the fact that, yes, in our generation, Gen X, older millennials, we don't want to be spoken to or at anymore. We need to take action, and that's exactly what we're doing, because we didn't want to. We want to break these generational, curses, I call them, right? And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. We need more research in women's health. It's getting there, but it needs to be a lot better. And I don't think there are so many groups and associations that claim to support, but really, I think the one-on-ones, I think conversations with our therapists, with our doctors, with, friends
Yeah.
is just as important, right? You need that education advocacy going around. So, and those are much younger, like you did. People didn't know. Oh, I didn't know I can get symptoms at
Listen,
35,
I have,
right?
so I'm 49. I have
Yeah.
girlfriends that are slightly older than me
Mhm.
that have been denied HRT. And I've been on it for 3 years. They're like, oh, you're too young. And I don't know about you, but I have read that they have less than 1 day's training of perimenopause
If
in
that,
medical school, which
that's
is
right.
shocking because it is perimenopause and menopause after the time we stop menstruating takes
Yes.
up a huge chunk of our life. We have to live with what's happening to us. And so yeah, I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan of I'm a huge fan of chemistry that helps balance us so that we don't feel like we're going crazy.
Yes. Yes.
That, like I struggled with, this is a classic symptom. I struggled with my words,
Brain
and I
fog.
just
Yeah.
assumed brain fog. I
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
assumed it was fatigue, but like I was struggling with the words coming out of my mouth. Um, I had very little motivation. Turns out that's also like a low iron thing.
Hmm.
We're getting that sorted out. I have a new doctor I'm starting with next month, and we managed to lure her away from California up to Vancouver,
Ooh,
and she's
fantastic.
a preventative women's health specialist. And I'm like, I hit the jackpot.
You did.
So I'm very, very excited about that for somebody who's my age or slightly older who, yeah, I don't have to teach her about a lot of things because she'll know.
She'll know exactly when you get in
Yeah.
there. Absolutely. Now, in when we were talking last, a couple weeks ago in our pre-interview, let's talk about what happens to our confidence and our self-perception when we're going through these things? We had a really good conversation about that. I think that my audience would really love your perspective on that.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. So, one, there are systems that exist outside of us that we have zero control over. And like, to be honest, right? Like we're
Yeah,
talking
of
about
course.
the patriarchy. Everybody's like, oh, the patriarchy, she's going to talk about this stuff. The world has been running a certain way for a really long time.
Yeah.
Women, we are secondary to the dudes in charge. Women who belong to communities of like Black, Indigenous, people of color, like the global majority, they already experience different forms of oppression and suppression in the
Yep.
workplace.
Mhm.
But then when you also add in the fact that we are, in our, let's say, late 30s, 40s, early 50s, and beyond, we are dealing with so many complicated things. We might be taking care of families, whether we are parents or we are supportive aunties or we are looking after our aging parents.
Yes.
So we are being pulled at so many different places. We are also expected to be managing all of these things that are happening at work. We're told, oh, you're hysterical when we ask to set boundaries. So, like, I'm tired of this message that women are the hysterical ones.
Oh,
I mean, we're not the ones putting our fists through doors. We're not the
right.
ones, setting off to block the Hormuz Strait or anything like that. We're just trying to watercolor paint and do our gardens and keep people fed and make sure laundry is folded and put away. But, the hormone piece is, if we are so sheltered in that we are not having authentic conversations with our girlfriends or medical providers or in community, and we have no idea what's happening, and we're feeling so discombobulated because we're like, one day you're quote unquote normal or maybe neutral, and
Yes.
the next day you're just a raging lunatic.
Sure.
Or I loved the phase. I went through this phase where I hated everybody. I was like, I just want to move away. I don't want to have any friends anymore. I just want to be alone. I want to be a hermit in the woods. Hey, that's your hormones speaking.
It
Chances
is.
are. Chances are.
Chances are, exactly, yes.
And so, like in the workplace, that looks like I'm sick of my coworkers. My boss is a total jerk. The other women are out to get me. So there's a little bit of that. Maybe there's some paranoia creeping in. Now, I have career coached over 800 people. At least half of them have been women. I know from hearing those stories, it's not all in their heads. Like, I'm not going to gaslight them and say, this is all your hormones. This is part of the systemic things we were just talking about, right?
Yes. Yes.
And, but when you are trying to navigate your own sense of self and your hormones are creating like delusional lies to you to some degree, you start to wonder, is the gaslighting real? Am I even good at my job? Am I worthy of that promotion? Um, I had the wonderful opportunity yesterday to chat with a client I hadn't seen in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And, I always wonder, how do clients feel about me when they go off into the world? And she's, Jean, I've been thinking about you for 4 years. I tell everybody about you. She's like, I was feeling so low and you just put your hand in and you pulled out all my magic so that I could see it. And you helped me see beyond the unhelpful ways that I saw myself. And I feel like when we're in the throes of perimenopause and menopause, we're not always seeing the best in ourselves.
No, not
You
at all.
know,
Our
we're,
faces are changing, physiologically we're changing, our brain is changing, our bodies are changing practically overnight or over a short amount of time. So yeah.
I'm starting to see my sminkles, my smile lines, and I'm a little bit vain when it comes to my face, right? I, I'm a little bit vain when it comes to my face. I don't care if you've injected things or not injected things or whatever. Maybe
Mhm.
you just do water the way your nonna did or whatever. But for me, but I'm starting to see them. And I think if I had had them a couple of years ago, I might have been bothered by them.
Sure. Hmm.
But I'm 49. I'm about to go into my magnificent 50s next year. And like, I don't know about you, Amalia, but in my 30s, I think I thought I knew everything. And in my 40s, I'm like, oh, this is who I am. And this is aging and perspective and maturity just give you that sense of, oh, okay. And now I'm coming to a place of greater peace with who I am and what's important and what's in alignment. So to tie all that back into the career stuff,
Yes.
all of a sudden I'm seeing a lot of my women clients realize that what they have been chasing is the lie of who we are supposed to be.
Be. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. And we've been
And
told this for decades.
it millennia,
Yes.
millennia,
Millennia.
right?
Yes.
Mother, wife, good, obedient,
Mm-hmm.
caretaker of everyone. And I think there's a little bit of fear out there for people who are bucking the system. They're being rebellious against the nature. But what it is, it's women are saying, I don't have to be the prescribed thing that you say that I am. And for me, hormone therapy has been liberating in that it's given me my sense of me that exists outside of those systems. And the clarity has been the greatest thing ever.
Isn't it? Hasn't it? Because you're starting to have that clarity, now or a few years. Me, that clarity didn't really start until I'm 54. It didn't start for me till like 2 years ago. And it's because,
Okay.
you have all this outside noise. Like I'm divorced, I have kids and they're 50-50 access, what have you. Single mom, I am, lost my job at the college. I was a college professor. But you know what? It gave me clarity to say, you know what? I don't want to be in that college with the culture
Yeah.
that's been created, with the misogyny that I had experienced, with everything that was so wrong about it for women. And they got rid of about 100 midlife people, men and women, laid
Hmm.
off. The men are going crazy, going, oh my God, what am I going to do? While the women are like, oh, good, I can have a breather now and let me see what I want to do for my next chapter, right? It's,
It is scary
yeah.
times. It is
It
scary
is.
times.
It is. And I used to be one of those anxious people. Oh, how am I going to get my next dollar? Oh my goodness. Now I'm like, mm-mm, I don't care. I'm going to take my time. And what you mentioned, alignment, is very interesting because I had a call yesterday and she was talking about alignment as well and what aligns with us, not what we're told to be aligned with, right?
Yeah.
Huge, huge difference. And yeah, so I'm really happy to see that, especially in these times. And now more 40-year-olds, 35-year-olds are getting more educated, getting more, they're getting vocal too, right? Saying, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. Or they know, I would say earlier in terms of how they're being incorporated in the company, how they're being used, how they're being taught, what the culture is going to be. I think a lot of women are realizing that they're not going to tolerate certain things when it comes to their career or certain things that they've been told because of us.
I think, yeah, we're absolutely we're seeing it in this shift of less children being born, less
Yep.
marriages,
Hmm.
less financial dependence on that secondary partner. We it's a slow iceberg like revolution, and there's still lots of work to be done. And I am still new on my understanding decolonization practices and like how white supremacy has influenced all of this, because it fits us into boxes of who we are supposed to be, as though there is a pecking order for society. And at the end of the day, that's all nonsense. It's all like created by the people who get to enjoy all the privileges. We are at our heart people who need to be fed, be safe, be loved, and have safe and secure homes, and hopefully access to great health care
Yes.
that honors who we are and who we wish to be. And I think it's very confusing times for a lot of people. There's because everything's changing.
And it's changing quickly. And everyone's talking about, the whole AI world. I'm not going to get into that. And it's like, okay, so you're firing everybody, half of your workforce because of this AI technology. Of course, who runs that world? Billionaire men, right? You figure
I
it
have
out.
this, so I have this theory as a
Okay.
career coach. I have this theory. I'm a little bit ageist, a little bit. Um, I have heard from clients, but I have also experienced this. I find that there is on the pro side, we see these young people who are like, listen, work-life balance matters to me first. That's wonderful, but there is still somewhat of a system of learn your craft, pay your dues. And I have heard some stories where there are some young people that don't want to put in their time. And they, like 2 years in, they want to be like, I want to be a senior such and such. It's like, well, actually, to reach that, you need to be like 10, 12, 15 years of craftsmanship
Sure.
so that you understand your trade. Whether it's an actual trade or if it's an office job type thing. And so you see these people that are losing their jobs because of this AI revolution, and we're all struggling with our sense of identity and purpose because we believed for so long that it's tied to our capitalist output.
Right.
Right? I'm sure somebody listening to this podcast is like, Jean's talking a lot about this stuff. I'm like, well, it's there. We might as well talk
It
about it. We might as
exists,
well use those
exactly.
words. Yeah. And, so I'm seeing men really grappling with their sense of identity because they always thought I am job. It's like in the Barbie movie, Ken says, my job is beach. And so there's a lot of men that are grappling with their sense of identity when they lose their jobs. I'm seeing it from my clients. I'm seeing it from my family. And I think women don't seem to be impacted in the same way because what they're looking for is to be appreciated for the skills that they have. They're willing to apply those skills to anything. They're not tethered to a particular specific job title or a job role. They just want to be seen.
Yes.
They want to
Yes.
be seen.
They want to
And
be seen. Yep. You're absolutely right. And I know that I still apply for jobs as well, just to, be seen. And I'm competing with computers. I'm competing with algorithms. I'm competing with, ATS. And then thousands of people trying to apply for the same job. And you're absolutely right. I don't like pigeonholing myself into I could say because I'm a project manager. I've been a project manager most of my life, but that's not who I am. I can do a multitude of different things. Right.
well, I will tell you. So, like I said, I've been doing this for full time for 6 years. I've been doing career coaching, small business strategy, because I ran a video game startup. I've raised $500,000 plus from friends, family, and fools, as they say. And I've also been coaching since 2008. So, like when we talk about the skills that you have that change the world, that's my jam.
Hello,
What we
everyone.
were talking about earlier, that confidence piece, there's a wonderful thing called the conscious competency model. So if people want to go and look that up on Google, I love it. It's this little quadrant. And in the first quadrant, it is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Right.
Right. So having worked in video games for a good couple of years, there are a lot of people on the internet who think they know how to make games. They don't know what they don't know. So there's always those trolls and commenters.
Yes.
Then the next quadrant is conscious incompetence. You now have an awareness of what you don't know.
Mhm.
That feels overwhelming. That's often like the onboarding of a new job. And you're like, ah. Then you move into this place called conscious competence. You understand what it is that you're supposed to know. You're kind of good at it. It takes a little bit of effort, but you're feeling good. You're feeling in your zone. However, the most beautiful place that I would encourage all your listeners to go to is that unconscious competence.
Unconscious competence.
There
Nice.
are things that you do so naturally in your home life, in your professional life, that are just running on autopilot.
Mhm.
But if you weren't there, there would be a huge gaping hole.
Bingo. Yes.
That is where the magic is. But we don't see it because it's secondhand to us. Like if I asked you how many times do you breathe in a minute, you wouldn't be able to tell me, but you're breathing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
because it's part of, I think it's our parasympathetic nervous system, right? Whereas
Hmm.
everything's just doing things automatically.
Yes.
And so that's where a lot of people's magic is in the unconscious competence zone. And all that other noise from your coworkers, from your belligerent children, or your nagging parents,
Yes.
you need to find a way to navigate the world so that it's you. That if all the noise were cut out, you have magic in you. What does that magic look like, sound like, feel like? And what could you bring to other people that you want to bring to other people?
That's a key because when I look, like my friends are going through the same thing, and you've really told us a great bunch of detail because I think the approach to resumes, the chronological ones, I completely agree with you, out the window. We I think that being more functional and claiming what you've achieved, how you did the transformation, put in some hard metrics in there. People be like, oh, it's so cumbersome, it's so overwhelming, but we can go to people like you, Jean, for that
Yeah.
kind of help, right? And because I know lots of women who are like, I don't know where to start, and I haven't been back
Yeah.
in corporate for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And oh my God, I'm 52 years old. What are they going to do with me? And that's where you come in and change that perspective. And there's my cat Pepper, everybody. So hopefully he behaves. So where you change the confidence and the perspective of their own selves,
Yeah.
you coach those people out of that mindset. And that's
I
something
do.
very difficult. So I really commend you on that, honestly.
Thank you. Like I was
Mhm.
just, like I said, I was talking to that one client from 4 years ago, and she just, I couldn't, I couldn't understand, or I didn't realize the impact that I had had on her. And that's, part of my own unconscious competence is I've had over 800 one-on-one clients in the last 6 years.
Yes.
And what they consistently say is, you radically rewired my brain to show me the greatness in myself, and that I shouldn't doubt that despite what all the people say. And yeah, it is. I've had women clients that are in their early 40s. We're doing our thing, we're going through
Yes.
our interview, and then I'll say, "So, hey, this is a little bit off topic, but you're roughly around the age where these types of things are going to start happening to your body. Have you experienced this?" Yes. I'm like, I know this is outside the scope of our career coaching, but I just wanted to share with you that hormone therapy has been a lifesaver, and I didn't want to hate my husband anymore.
Right.
I didn't want to run away to the woods. And they'll come back after a few weeks on the patch or whatever it is that they're on, like, Gene,
Right.
this is like, I don't hate everybody, and it's making work a little bit more tolerable, and it's giving me a little bit more hope. So we live in dark times. Maybe hormone therapy will help, but at the very least, understanding what you're going through is huge.
Yes.
Understanding ADHD didn't fix my ADHD, but it gave me grace to navigate. And I think the same thing is true for perimenopause and menopause. It's like it gives you the a little bit of a map to be able to navigate these things.
Absolutely. And in my coaching business is the same. I do an assessment to see where they are in their stages of perimenopause, how they're feeling at that time, and create that blueprint for them to start feeling better, to know what support to look out for, how to advocate
Yeah.
for yourself to your doctor if they don't want to agree with you, right? So it's amazing how women, when we embrace each other and support each other and tell them you're not crazy, and the whole trust and the rapport factor when we are dealing with coaches, you're dealing with women. I just find it amazing. I find it so refreshing, and it's something
Hmm.
more that we need to do. And so, Jean, that's why your work is very, very important. And I really admire what you do for the women and for the men that you coach. I really appreciate you sharing your experience on your journey. And I'm really glad that you got the supports that you need and you feel a ton better. And it's like night and day. And like you said, HRT is great. It's not 100%, but let me
Not
tell
for
you,
everybody.
not
Yeah.
for everybody either, but try it out and then just adjust as you go along. Or maybe you don't want to go on it at all. At least you've tried, right? Jean, thank you so much once again. And to my viewers and listeners, I'm going to leave you with this until next time. Be well, be safe, and embrace the pause.